purport. The word Brahma Bandhu is significant. A person who happens to take birth in the family of a Brahmana but is not qualified to be called a Brahmana is addressed as a relative of a Brahmana and not as a Brahmana. The son of a high court judge is not virtually a high court judge, but there is no harm in addressing a high court judge son as a relative of the honorable justice. Therefore, as by birth only does not become a high court judge, so also one does not become a Brahmana simply by birthright, but by acquiring the necessary qualifications of a Brahmana. As the high court judgeship is a post for the qualified man, so also the post of a Brahmana is attainable by qualification only. The Shastra enjoins that even if good qualifications are seen in a person born in a family other than that of a Brahmana, the qualified man has to be accepted as a Brahmana. And similarly, if a person born in the family of a Brahmana is void of Brahminical qualification, then he must be treated as a non-Brahmana, or in better terms, a relative of a Brahmana. Lord Sri Krishna, the supreme authority of all religious principles, the Vedas, has personally pointed out these differences, and he is about to explain the reason for this in the following shlokas. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So this verse, where the supreme authority, Lord Krishna, is bringing out a very important difference, that he is addressing Ashwathama, son of a Brahmana, Dronacharya, as Brahma Bandhu, not as a Brahmana, but as a relative of a Brahmana. Srila Prabhupada starts the purport with a very important point. The word Brahma Bandhu is significant. Many of us do not know that a son of a Brahmana is not necessarily a Brahmana. He may be, may not be. Until we come in contact with a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, who brings out these differences to ordinary people like us, so that we can understand. Because since thousands and thousands of years, this has been misused, that son of a Brahmana should be Brahmana, and no one else can attain Brahmanical qualifications. But here, as Prabhupada himself pointing out in purport, the supreme authority, Lord Krishna, is addressing Ashwathama not as a Brahmana but relative of a Brahmana, because he is not qualified to be Brahmana even though he has taken birth in the family of a Brahmana. Actually, this verse is very, very relevant in the present context. If you just see what's happening in the outside world in last 1 month or maybe 1.5 months, a very recent sad incident that took place in our country, and a lot of political debate happening around it. A PhD scholar from Hyderabad University by name Rohit Vemula committed suicide in one of his friend's room, and that has given rise to a huge political debate. Just 2 days back, there was a lot of political debate in the parliament about the cause of the death. According to the politicians, the cause of the death of this Rohit Vemula, who was a PhD scholar and a student of Hyderabad University, is that the discrimination based on the caste system. this student was discriminated. He was ill-treated in the university. He was not given proper facilities according to the politicians, and he was given a very bad experience which actually triggered him to think of committing suicide. So this student, Rohit Vemula, unfortunately committed suicide on January 17th. And since then, there are a lot of strikes and a lot of discussions and debates and there are big fights happening. How can this happen? How can in our country somebody discriminate people based on the caste? How can these upper caste people discriminate the lower caste people? How can lower caste people go on tolerate this kind of things? How can these minority people can go on tolerate this? So like this, there has been lot of discussion going on for last about 1.5 months. So the truth of the incident is yet to be discovered, but at least the controversy is that he belongs to a lower caste family, and he happens to come from not so good family, a high birth family. So that is the reason according to the politicians. So this incidence is not very new. We know that such incidences have been taking place in the history. Not 10 years, 20 years, centuries, in fact even thousands of years. In fact, if you go to abroad and if you ask any foreign citizen, what do you think about India? Most of them say, oh, India is full of casteism. There's a lot of casteism in India. There's a lot of discrimination in India based on the casteism. So this kind of a perception has been built in the people's mind based on this casteism. But actually, in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is not new literature, this literature has been existing all the time, at least in the form of in the written format. This literature has been there with us for last 5,000 years. And that time itself, very clearly this difference has been brought out, that your caste is not based on your birth. In fact, Lord Krishna himself declares in Bhagavad Gita, Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. Chatur Varnam, these 4 divisions of human society are created by me. Krishna says, I have created this. Then somebody may feel, my God is responsible for all this casteism. Look how Krishna is saying that I have created this. Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam. Maya Srishtam. I have created this division in the human society. But fortunately, Krishna will not give any opportunity for us to assume anything, because he is clarifying on what basis he has created this. He says he has created this division based on guna and karma, based on the 3 modes of material nature that they have associated with and the work that they are associated. He never mentions in the Bhagavad Gita that I have created this division in the human society based on their birth. He never say that. Lord Krishna very clearly says he has created this Chatur Varna, the 4 divisions, the 4 Varna. Varna means in Sanskrit divisions. The spiritual ashrama division and the society division. 4 Varnas and 4 ashramas. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra are 4 Varnas. 4 ashramas are Sannyasa, Grihastha-ashrama, Sannyasa, Vanaprastha, Grihastha-ashrama and Brahmacharya. So Krishna has created this. And why has he created this? He has created this so that human being can make progressive advancement and achieve the highest perfection of the human life. So, then how is that? Krishna says that he has not created based on the birth, but today it has become based on birth. A lot of atrocities are going on in our society simply because somebody belonged to a so-called higher caste and somebody belonged to lower caste. Not just atrocities, the whole country is upset. The caste, the politics based on the casteism, the vote bank based on casteism. Sometimes it looks like there is no end to this. But what does scripture talk about? What does Acharya say about this? Do they also accept the casteism? Do they also discriminate people based on this kind of birth? No. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter, he brings out a very important verse. He says, actually, even though he has created the 4 divisions, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, still how nobody is deprived of achieving the highest goal of life. We are all upset. People have misunderstood. Okay, because these 4 divisions have been created, so some people are not given opportunity to do something. Just like in the company, if you take any, let's say, software company or any other company, not everybody is doing all the work. Some people are given administration work. Some people are given software development work. Some people are cleaning the office. There are varieties of work done by varieties of people. Now, like that in the human society, there are varieties of work and there are divisions of people who take care of this work. Just because that somebody is not able to do certain work, does it mean that he is deprived of the highest goal of life? The highest goal of life, as we all know from spiritual master Srila Prabhupada and the scripture, is actually to attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna and go back to Godhead. Is it reserved only for the higher caste people? Is it that somebody happens to take birth in a low caste family and he is not given any chance? This is clarified in the Bhagavad Gita itself. Lord Krishna, in the 9th chapter, he says, Mamhi partha vyapashritya ye apisyuhu papayonayaha. Mamhi partha vyapashritya. He says, O Arjuna, I am that ultimate goal. I am the ultimate shelter. Mamhi partha vyapa ashritya. I am that ultimate shelter. For whom? Only for one section of the people? One section of the society? He says no. Even for Papa Yonayaha, those who happen to take birth in low birth. Striyaha, Vaishyaha, Tatha Shudraha. He says, Te api yanti param gatim. Param gatim. Gati means destination, the goal. Param gatim, the supreme destination, the highest goal of life can be achieved. Specifically, Krishna is mentioning that even those who have taken low birth, even they can achieve the highest goal of life simply by surrendering unto the lotus feet of Krishna, taking shelter of Krishna. Nobody is banned. No, you cannot take. No. It is very clearly mentioned that actually surrendering unto Krishna, which is the highest goal of life, is actually not meant for only one class of people. Anybody, be it low family or high birth, Kshatriya, or maybe Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, anybody can take shelter of Lord Krishna. We all have seen how in our country, specifically in the present India, for last many centuries, that we have lot of, this kind of issues. Why the whole casteism, is taking a big issue in the present day? There was a discussion in some of the government were discussing that we will take over this temple and give this to the Shudra class of people so that even they can worship. And then the priestly class of people were opposing it. No, we cannot allow them to do this worship. Only Brahmanas have to do. Then see how they are stopping, how they are saying that you cannot enter the temple, you cannot do puja. So we will bring some laws and make sure that they will enter the temple. At least today we all know that everybody can enter the temple. But few centuries ago, in the same country, the Shudras were not allowed to enter even the temple. We all know this Jagannath Puri, a very famous place, Lord Jagannath's place, that many centuries the Shudra class of people were not allowed inside the temple. As you stand outside of the Simhadwara gate, you can have darshan of Patita Pavana. The Lord Jagannath, who is installed at the Simhadwara entrance, you can see that a beautifully smiling Lord Jagannath called Patita Pavana. His name itself is Patita Pavana. Patita means those who are fallen, who are supposed to be taking birth in the low families. So, those people who are not allowed to enter the temple and have darshan of Lord Jagannath, they could come, stand outside the gate and just have darshan of Lord Jagannath and have to go back. They were not allowed inside. Even though scripture do not talk about such things, but still somehow one section of the society just to exploit the weaker section of the society started misusing the scriptures. Always scriptures has to be received. The Vedic literature have to be received in the disciplic succession. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu. Lord Krishna says the Vedic literatures have to be received in the disciplic succession. Why? Because in the disciplic succession, the proper context of the Vedic literature is mentioned. In which context this casteism is mentioned? In which context Lord Krishna is saying that I have created this four division? If somebody who do not come from any parampara, who do not belong to any bona fide disciplic succession, he takes Bhagavad Gita and reads it and he tells the people, look, Krishna is saying that he has created these divisions in the society. Abandon all this Vedic literature. Let's go against this. Let's abandon the Vedic culture. This kind of a mentality the people develop. In fact, they have developed. We know that how the pure devotee descends from the spiritual world and distribute the pure, unadulterated knowledge to all the living entities. So that just like in ISKCON, we have no such concept that high birth, low birth, he can worship, he cannot worship. Why? Because we have received the Vedic literature in disciplic succession from a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. So we have a correct, right understanding of the Vedic literature. Unfortunately, since many centuries, since thousands of years, maybe for last 2000 years, everybody do not have the fortune of getting this Vedic literature from a bona fide pure devotee. So, when you hear this Vedic literature which talks about apparently the divisions in the society, the casteism, and you will simply misunderstand. Just like people misunderstand Krishna's pastimes. They say Krishna he does not possess a good character. You see how Krishna is behaving so cheaply with other women. This kind of a wrong understanding, misconception that people carry because they hear the pastime, they receive the Vedic knowledge from person who do not belong to any disciplic succession, who do not have a proper context of the entire Vedic literature. So because of this reason, for many, many centuries, people have misunderstood about these 4 divisions in the human society. And that has created multiple complex systems in our society, and some people are exploiting, some people are exploited, and there is nobody to clarify what is the reality, and there are a lot of fights, and there are a lot of divisions, and things are going on like this. And people were not even allowed to enter inside the temple. And here Krishna is saying, Mam hi partha vipashritya. Mam hi partha, O Partha, O son of Kunti, Arjuna, I am that shelter, even for Vaishya, Shudra, Papayonaha, for all the low birth people. I am the only shelter. If Krishna says he is the only shelter, then where else these people should go? Just because somebody takes birth in the low birth, which is not accepted in the Vedic literature, somebody takes birth in a low birth doesn't mean that he is a low birth. And here Srila Prabhupada is clarifying that somebody may take birth in a Brahmana family, but if he do not cultivate Brahmanical qualifications, which are again mentioned by Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 18th chapter. Lord Krishna gives all the qualifications of a Brahmana. Astikyam, Shaucham, Arjavam. He lists down all those qualifications. But somebody may not develop these qualifications. Just like somebody may happen to take birth in a high court judge's family. It doesn't mean that because he has taken birth in a family of a judge, so he by default becomes the judge. No. He can become judge provided he goes to university, he takes the degree, he studies law, he takes the bona fide degree certificate, then he gets trained in the court, then he'll be appointed by seeing his qualification. Then he'll be called as a judge. Not simply because he takes birth in a judge's family. Just imagine, somebody has got a very serious, some stomach ache, and he goes to doctor. And doctor diagnoses, a very special doctor, very famous for giving treatment. He diagnoses and he says, oh, there's a very acute pain. Immediately you should be operated. Then you say, okay doctor, please relieve me from this pain. And the patient is taken to the operation theater. And you are ready for operation. The operation theater door opens and you see a man entering. And you say, he is not the doctor I met. Who is this? And you ask the nurse standing beside you, nurse, may I know who is this man entering this operation theater? And the nurse informs you, don't worry, he is the son of the doctor. And you are just getting panicked. Okay, no problem, but is he also the doctor? No, he is not a doctor. But I told you, right, he is the son of the doctor. How many of us would be interested to take treatment from such a person? We say, no, that's okay, let him be the son of a doctor, but I want to know, is he qualified to operate me? No. Are we not telling you, he's son of the doctor? Because he's son of a doctor, he will do operation today. And you will be operated by him. And you will immediately get up and run away. You run out of that operation theater. You say, my God, I will not undergo any operation just because he's the son of a doctor. You see? Simply because he does not possess qualification to be a doctor. Like that, Srila Prabhupada is giving another beautiful example. Simply because somebody takes birth in a family of a judge and very important judgment has to be given in the Supreme Court, and everyone is waiting. And that day, a man comes wearing the judge, that dress, and he sits, and everyone asks, who is this new person? He say, oh, he's the son of that Supreme Court judge. So why is he sitting here? No, he's sitting here to give judgment today. Is he qualified? No, he's a son of Supreme Court judge. Nobody will accept. So the Vedic literature are talking the same. They're saying that you may happen to take birth in a family of a Brahmana does not mean that you become a Brahmana without qualification. And Supreme Authority, Lord Krishna, is actually personally mentioning to Arjuna, Arjuna, do not release this Brahma Bandhu. Krishna did not address Ashwatthama as a Brahmana. In fact, he addressed Ashwatthama as a Brahma Bandhu, a relative of a Brahmana. Actually, this kind of a understanding is possible only because we all are in contact with a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada, who comes in disciplic succession of a Brahma Madhva Sampradaya, who receives the knowledge exactly the way Lord Krishna delivered to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, without any adulteration. And the same knowledge is given to us, so we have got complete clarity. So we have no problem. And we also understand how, unfortunately, many centuries in our country, so many people were not allowed to practice bhakti. They were not allowed inside the temple to even have darshan of the Lord, simply because they have taken birth in the low caste family. Such an unfortunate situation. In fact, I was told that I was talking to a man from some village. He happens to be a lower caste family, just because of that caste. And I asked, what name have you kept for your son? And he told some name. I said, you would have kept some Krishna's name. It's so nice. He said, no, in our village, we are not supposed to keep Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, such names to our children, because we all belong to low caste family. I was surprised. How is this possible? How can you say like this? He said, yes, there are some names, only such names we can keep to our children. And all those names are, some demigods or something like that. I said, this is not there anywhere. He said, this is the culture in our village. You see, even you are not allowed to keep the holy name of the Lord to your children because you belong to a low caste family. This level of misunderstanding has happened simply because they are not fortunate enough to receive the knowledge from a pure devotee. And this has created many controversies. So, many people, when we talk about bhakti, talk about the Supreme Lord, they all have misunderstanding that, no, this is not meant for us. This is meant only for high class people who take birth in higher caste. But, fortunately, we have many pastimes of the Lord, where Krishna personally demonstrating how this division that he created is not for, keeping people away from him. It is only for some kind of a society management. Just like in office, there are people required for management, there are people required for administration, there are people required for development of some software or something like that. So in a society, there are some people required for creating some jobs like potter and, cleaner, and some people are required for priest work, some people are required for administration, not for achieving the highest goal of life. As far as reaching the highest goal of life is concerned, as far as surrendering to Krishna is concerned, nobody is stopped. In fact, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, a very beautiful verse that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions. We all know the highest goal of life is to achieve love of God. Develop Krishna Prema. This is the highest goal of life. No matter which family we belong to, whether we belong to a very high family, high birth family or low birth family. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Swatantra Ishvara Prema Niguda Bhandara. Ishvara Prema, love for God, Ishvara Prema, Niguda Bhandara. Niguda means it's very, very confidentially kept. It is not that something that it's just available just like that. Niguda means it's not accessible so easily. It's very difficult to access. Ishvara Prema Niguda Bhandara. Bhandara means treasure. The treasure house. What is a treasure house? It contains Ishvara Prema. Ishvara Prema Niguda Bhandara. And he says, the Supreme Lord Krishna, who appeared as Lord Chaitanya, he is Swatantra. He is Swatantra, he is completely independent. He is not under any, some government control. He is not under some society's present day thinking control. He is completely independent. Swatantra, Lord Chaitanya is Swatantra. So what is he doing? The Swatantra Lord Chaitanya, what is he doing? He says, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Bilaila. Bilaila means he's distributing. What is he distributing? He's distributing the highest goal of human form of life. That is Ishvara Prema, Krishna Prema, love of God, which is Niguda Bhandara, which is hidden in the Bhandara. It is not accessible to all the people. And the Swatantra, the supremely independent Lord Chaitanya, is Bilaila, is freely distributing. Who is he distributing? Is he distributing to one class of people? He has selected some section of the people and he is distributing them. No! Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Bilaila, Yare, Tare, anybody and everybody, Lord Chaitanya is going on distributing this Krishna Prema. He is not discriminating. Swatantra Ishvara Prema Niguda Bhandara. Bilaila Yare Tare. We all know this very famous Yare Tare. Yare Deko Tare Kaho Krishna Upadesh. Chaitanya himself said this. Anybody and everybody distribute this Krishna Prema, because Krishna does not have such discrimination. Krishna does not have any such discrimination in his mind. He can come to me, he cannot come to me, he can get Krishna Prema, this person cannot get Krishna Prema. No. He said that, na kaila vichara. He does not have such any vichara in the mind that he should get, he should not get. Everybody can get. This is the mood of Lord Krishna. Actually, Prabhupada says, Krishna was misunderstood when he came and spoke Bhagavad Gita. So in order to clarify that misconception, misunderstanding, Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya. And he clarified, all the doubts that how Lord Krishna is for everyone. Yare, Tare, Bilaila, he is distributing. And not only that, there are many, many pastimes of Lord who demonstrate how Krishna always gave preference, not to birth, but to their devotion. No matter which background you belong to. We all know in the Mahabharata, when Pandavas were sent to forest because of that, the game that they played, and after that in a very bad manner, it was snatched from their hand, their kingdom, Indraprastha, and it was decided that for these many years they will go to forest, they will be abandoned to forest. And the Pandavas finished their Vanavasa and they came back. The agreement was that once they come back, Duryodhana should return their kingdom back. But as we all know, this crooked Duryodhana, he did not agree to give back the right kingdom of Pandavas. Then finally, Lord Krishna himself agreed to become peace messenger, Shanti Dhuta, to go and meet Duryodhana and try to convince him how it is not good to do like this and simply give the Indraprastha back to Pandavas. If not Indraprastha, at least 5 villages, please give back. And Lord Krishna, on behalf of Pandavas, he comes to Hastinapura, the capital city of Kauravas. And when he comes, Duryodhana, being a very expert politician, he knew that the strength of the Pandavas is this Krishna. Somehow, if I can get Krishna to my side, then who will protect this Pandavas? So he wanted to impress Krishna. So he made elaborate arrangement. And he made an arrangement of Chappan Bhog. So guest is coming to your palace, and the easiest way to make him happy is to give nice feast. If you feed him nicely, give him nice food, then he'll be so happy, then it is easy for you to do whatever politics you want. Then he had arranged a very, very, many delicacies, Chappan Bhog he had arranged. Krishna, being Supreme Lord, he knows what to accept, what not to accept. Yome bhaktya prayachati. He accepts only devotion. Just because there are very nice delicacies, Chappan Bhog, doesn't mean that Krishna will go and eat. Krishna says a person can accept out of 2 things, either out of need or out of love. So Krishna, being Supreme Lord, there is no need that he has to eat Chappan Bhog. He is completely Atmarama, self-sufficient. So the other ways he has to accept out of love, but Duryodhana does not have any love for Krishna. So Krishna straight away, he didn't even bother to enter Duryodhana's house. He straight away went to a very special devotee who happens to be a Shudra. And he was Mahatma Vidura, who was living in a separate place. And Krishna straight away went to his place, Vidura's place. And Vidura, with his wife, they were extremely surprised to receive the Supreme Lord at their doorstep. It was something unimaginable. Vidura, a great devotee of the Lord, who constantly meditates on the lotus feet of the Lord, was pleasantly surprised to see that Lord has arrived at his doorsteps. And with that jubilation, he welcomed, he washed the feet of the Lord and welcomed. He said, "My dear Lord, I just don't know what to do, and we are not prepared to take care of you." And Krishna said, "Doesn't matter. I'm so happy just to be with you." And Vidura was so excited, with that excitement, with the ecstasy that he saw his Lord. Actually, Krishna demonstrated that if my devotee is a pure devotee, doesn't matter whether you are a Shudra, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Lord himself comes to his house. You don't have to even go to see the Lord. The Lord himself took the trouble of coming to the house of Vidura, and Vidura was in great ecstasy, and they didn't have all of a sudden prepared anything to offer to the Lord, and in that ecstasy he was offering banana to the Lord. And something strange happened, and he was peeling the banana, and in that ecstasy, instead of giving the fruit banana, he started giving the peel of the banana. Krishna, being the Paramatma, is the Lord who knows everything. He knows that this Vidura is giving me peel. But Krishna does not see what you give. Krishna sees with what you are giving. So Vidura was giving with so much of love, Krishna did not mind accepting the peel and started eating the peel. So this is the power of bhakti, which goes beyond all these divisions of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Krishna is, first of all, did not mind, why should I go to this Shudra's house? And he did not mind, see, the Shudra, he doesn't know how to serve me. He's giving me only peel. No, Krishna is just saying, with great love my devotee is offering, doesn't matter even if it is peel, I will accept it. See, there is Duryodhana with all Chappan Bhog, Krishna didn't go there. Krishna came to Vidura's place where somebody is offering the peel of a banana. So this demonstrates the Supreme Lord. He is equally, that available to all his devotees, no matter what is your background. Simply something which is created for sake of management of the society doesn't stop somebody achieving the Krishna Prema, which is the highest goal of life. We have another beautiful example from same place, Jagannath Puri, where this kind of unfortunate system was practiced. Of course, today everybody can enter the temple, but a few centuries back the Shudras were not allowed, those who take birth in the lower caste family. And there used to be this devotee, a very great devotee of Lord Jagannath called Dasui. His name was Dasui. He belonged to a place called Baligram in Odisha. And he was a very great devotee of Lord Jagannath. But unfortunately, because of the system, though he was a great devotee, he was not allowed inside the temple to have darshan of the Lord. He could see the Lord once a year when Lord comes out for Rath Yatra. He was such a great devotee, he had so much love for Lord Jagannath that once he brought a very fresh, sweet, tender coconut to offer to Lord Jagannath. And he was standing at the Simhadwara gate holding coconut in his hand. Then some brahmanas started making comments. Oh, Shudra, have you brought this coconut? He said, yes, I brought this for my sweet Lord Jagannath. He said, okay. Then Dasui handed over that coconut to one of the so-called brahmana who was standing there, and he said, could you please offer this to Lord Jagannath? If Lord Jagannath accepts, I'll be very happy. If he does not accept, you can return back to me. And all the brahmanas standing there started laughing loudly. Look, foolishness of this Shudra. He thinks Lord Jagannath accepts offering from the Shudra. What kind of foolishness it is. And the Dasui requested, he pleaded, please, this is a special coconut I brought. Could you please offer this to Lord Jagannath? He said, okay, let's go. And this Brahmana priest, he brought that coconut, stood in front of Lord Jagannath. He said, Lord Jagannath, this coconut has been brought by one Shudra, Dasui, and he is requesting that if you wish, you may accept it. Then immediately the coconut disappeared from the hands of that priest, and Lord Jagannath accepted that offering, and he took that tender coconut. And this Brahmana was completely surprised to see this. Oh my God, what am I witnessing? What's happening? And he ran, came out to inform the Dasui that Jagannath accepted your coconut. And this Dasui was extremely happy to hear, my Lord, you are so great that you accepted an offering from a Shudra like me. You are really the Lord of the universe. So, after a few days later, the same devotee, Dasui, and naturally, when you are a devotee, you love Lord, and you like bringing some good things and offer to Lord. That is the symptom of love. Dadati pratigrahanati. So he came across a very sweet, special mangoes in mango season, and he brought buttis of mangoes. And he said, again while he was coming, some more brahmanas approached him. Oh, look, this Dasui has again come. Those proud, puffed up, those people who think that because we have taken birth in a high-class Brahmana family, so Lord Jagannath is only for us, and this Shudra, simply that day something happened, he is thinking himself is a very great devotee. Look, again he has brought these mangoes. Then he said, could you please offer these mangoes to my Lord Jagannath? He said, what is this? Why do you bring these things again and again? He said, no, please offer. They said, no, that day by mistake we offered your coconut. We will not do this mistake again and again. Shudra, nobody will accept your offering, go away. Then he said, okay, if you're not going to offer, then I have no other option. I myself will offer from here. He was standing on that grand road and he said, I will offer. And if Lord is merciful upon me, if he thinks I am a devotee, then he may accept. Then he held those mangoes in his hand and he said, my dear Lord Jagannath, if you think that I have brought these mangoes for you with any affection and love for you, please accept. Then immediately again the mangoes disappeared from his hand. And these brahmanas were again surprised. What's happening? And they said, something must be happening wrong. Let's go and see in the altar. And when they came inside the altar, all the mango peels were, they were lying down on the floor and the pulp of the mango was dropping from Jagannath's smiling face. So Lord Jagannath again and again demonstrated that he is interested in devotion of a person, not what background you belong to. You may be poor, you may be rich, you may be a brahmana, you may be a shudra, doesn't matter. As far as Krishna is concerned, he is simply interested in bhakti. Bhakta Vatsala. He is the Lord of devotees. He do not belong to any one section of the society, and he says that I don't come to this. I don't come to the place of a place where this low caste people worship me. No, Krishna has demonstrated again and again. So the devotees who know this very well, that Krishna do not discriminate like this. It is the misconception of some people who have misguided the society. They have created this kind of wrong systems in our society. So they are not bothered about it because they know the Lord is always available for us. The Lord is always available for us. And what do devotees think? Are they very proud and puffed up? Because you see, Lord is with me. I am a very great devotee. Actually, the mentality of a devotee, whether he happens to be from low background or high background, is always meek and humble. On the other hand, these people who happens to take birth in so-called high caste but do not develop any such qualifications, they are full of pride in their heart. Just like once devotees from America had come to Vrindavan. Prabhupada had brought them. It was during Prabhupada's time. And they were very excited. They were in Vrindavan. So they were visiting many temples. And especially the Goswami temples. And some of these devotees who visited Goswami temple, and they were with great excitement, oh, this is the deity we have read in Prabhupada books. They were with great excitement and tears in their eyes. They were doing Hare Krishna mantra kirtan and they were having the deity. And the pujari who was worshipping there became extremely happy to see them chanting the holy names of the Lord, and they are mlechas. They have come from abroad and they become devotees now. And he said, I'm so happy to see all of you. You have become such a nice devotees. So I want to give some blessings. The blessing is that in future, in your next life, you all become brahmanas. And these devotees were a little surprised. What kind of a blessing is this? And they didn't understand. They thought maybe, he's a Vrajavasi, maybe something like this. They came back, but they wanted to update Srila Prabhupada. And they came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, we went to so-and-so temple and, one pujari came and he gave these blessings. And Prabhupada just laughed at it. And he said, it is exactly like that old lady. And he started telling a story. In Bengal, during the British Raj, there used to be this old lady living in one remote village. And she was having some legal problems connected to some land. And somebody told her, see, this magistrator has come to your place. those days they used to go for a visit village to village, so that if people have any issues, legal matter, they can approach them and solve them. They don't have to come to the big cities. So when this magistrator came, so somebody informed this old lady, why don't you go and visit him so that he can solve your problem? So she came, she requested the magistrator to solve this problem, and the magistrator heard everything and he solved the problem. And this old lady became so happy because that issue was going on many, many years, and this man solved it. And she said, I bless you to become a policeman in your next life, police constable. Because in her experience, in her village, a powerful man was police constable. So in her experience, she has seen being a police constable is something very big. So she is blessing out of her ignorance that in your next life, you become a police constable. Who is? The magistrator is far, far superior to the police constable in his position. So Prabhupada narrated the story and said how out of ignorance these people think the Vaishnavas are something inferior to the so-called caste Brahmanas. In fact, they used to tell Prabhupada, oh, very good job you have done. Very good, very good. These all people have become devotees. Next life they may become Brahmanas. And Prabhupada would tell them, my disciples, these devotees are far, far superior to any of the so-called caste Brahmanas, because they have got highest goal of their life, that is Krishna Prema. And how these people, these Indians mentality, how are they treating? And Prabhupada was very unhappy about it. There is such incidents that took place 500 years back. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we know how he was distributing the Krishna Prema to everyone. He wanted to demonstrate how his disciples are so great, how a pure devotee, a devotee of Lord Krishna, even though he is so great, but he maintains meek and humble position. So once he sent out word that he wanted to meet Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami comes from a very high-class family background, and he was also a minister in Mughal's kingdom those days, and he became the disciple of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he was living in Vrindavan, and now he wanted to have darshan of Lord Chaitanya, so he had come to Jagannath Puri. He was living for a while in Jagannath Puri. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after his lunch, he expressed his wish that he would like to meet Sanatana Goswami. So his assistant sent the message, and by hearing this message, Sanatana Goswami became extremely jubilant. Oh, Lord Chaitanya wants to meet me. And he was living in a place. From that place he was supposed to come and meet Lord Chaitanya, who was taking rest in Baladanda place. So he came. It was afternoon. Jagannath Puri is extremely hot place, and it was very, very hot summer, hot place. And afternoon, Sanatana Goswami walked on the hot sand and came. While he was walking, because of that extreme heat, his feet, the sole, got many blisters. And when he came, stood in front of Lord Chaitanya was so happy to see Sanatana, he hugged him and he said, Sanatana, by which way you came? Then Sanatana Goswami replied, my dear Lord, I came by the way of that beach, that Mahodadi. Then Chaitanya said, but the nearest route is through Simhadwara. Why you didn't come from that way? Then Sanatana Goswami said, my dear Lord, how can I come from that way? There are many servants of Lord Jagannath. He was referring to the priest, the so-called Brahmanas. There are many servants of this Jagannath who are going and coming, carrying something for Jagannath service. And if they come across and if they see a person like me who is such a low person, even my shadow falls on them is not good for them. So I came in this way. By hearing this, Lord Chaitanya became so happy. He hugged Sanatana Goswami and said, Sanatana, you are the spiritual master of the whole world. That is your position. And you think in such a humble way that I'm not qualified to even to be seen by those servants of Lord Jagannath. We know that how Lord Chaitanya wanted this kind of a thinking in all of us. Trunadapi sunichena taroriva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadaharihi. And his disciples demonstrated this. Even though he was a very high class background and he himself was a spiritual master, direct disciple of Lord Chaitanya, he thought that I am not a very great person. Even my shadow should not fall on this. This is the mentality of a devotee who is actually pure at his heart. But on the contrary, these people who take birth in so-called, high caste, they have no such humility. In fact, they only have pride in their heart. And they discriminate and they exploit and they give all kinds of, wrong experience, bad experience to people and create disturbance in the society. Today, we are celebrating the appearance day of His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And it is very relevant why we discuss about Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he vehemently fought against this caste system, which was prominently present during his time. And there were people who said, Lord Chaitanya's message can only be distributed by those who belong to this caste Brahmanas family background or Goswami family background. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he fought against it. And he said, this is all not acceptable. Lord Chaitanya belongs to everyone. Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi. He said, whether you are a Brahmana, whether you are a Sannyasi, whether you are Kiba Shudra, you are a Shudra, doesn't matter. If you know Krishna, then you are eligible. So, devotion to Lord Krishna is the criteria. That is what is important. On this basis, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur fought against this casteism. And he gave Brahmana initiation to those who come from non-Brahmana background. And this created a big, stir in the society. And many people were against Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. In fact, they were so much against him that once Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was going for Navadvip Mandal Parikrama, and some, goons and these people, these caste Brahmanas, and who were against Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they attacked his party, the Parikrama party, and they tried to create a lot of disturbance. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who was called as a lion guru, just like the lion in the forest doesn't care for any, kanji pinji animals, the chota puta animals in the forest. So a pure devotee like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is never bothered by the so-called disturbance simply because somebody, does all those things. He went ahead and he established 64 Gaudiya Mutt, which is the origin of ISKCON, and he established the 64 Gaudiya Mutt all over India simply based on Krishna's pure message that anybody can take shelter of Krishna. Not that only one class of people are allowed to take birth. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is son of another very great spiritual master of our parampara, Bhaktivedanta Thakur. Bhaktivedanta Thakur, when he was living in Jagannath Puri, he would every day go to Jagannath temple. Next to Jagannath temple, there is a temple of Bimala Devi. And he would offer his prayers to Bimala Devi. Bimala Devi is Durga Devi. She is the, the Krishna's assisting energy in his pastime. So he would offer every day, my dear Durga Devi, Bimala Devi, please bless me with a son who would glorify Krishna all over the world. So every day he would go and he would offer prayers to Bimala Devi. And finally, Bhaktivedanta Thakur was blessed with this son called Bimala Prasad. So when this Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared as a 10th son of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, and Bhaktivedanta Thakur knew he is the mercy of Bimala Devi. So he named his son as Bimala Prasad. Prasada given by Bimala Devi. So Bimala Prasad. So from very young age, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur demonstrated his pure devotion to Lord Krishna. We know from Prabhupada's lecture how when he was a small boy, and once Bhaktivedanta Thakur had brought mangoes to offer Lord Jagannath, and without knowing this Bimala Prasad, small boy, he took that mango. And when Bhaktivedanta Thakur came to know this, he was very sorry. He said, "Oh, you ate that mangoes, which was meant for the Lord. How unfortunate, so sad." And by hearing this, Bimala Prasad became so unhappy. He said, "I have committed offense, which was actually kept for the Lord. I took it." Actually, Prabhupada says, when the small child takes, there is no offense. But still, this Bimala Prasad, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, was so upset that he took something which was kept for the Lord. He said, "My whole life I will not take mangoes." And in future, when his disciples would bring some of the best mangoes to his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would always say, "No, I'm an offender. I cannot take mangoes. I've offended the Lord by taking what was meant for him." So like this, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was a great spiritual master with great amount of devotion to Lord Krishna, to his spiritual master. He was the only disciple of his spiritual master, Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj never accepted any disciples. The only disciple was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And that too with great difficulty. When Bhaktivedanta Thakur told him, "Please go and take initiation from Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj." And when he came, approached Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj straight away rejected his request. He said, "No, I'm not going to accept anyone as my disciple." And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, again and again he requested. He used to come and again request. And finally Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, "If you do not accept me as your disciple, then what is the use of my life? I'm going to give up my life if you don't accept me as your disciple." Then Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, seeing this determination and the purity of this boy by name Bimala Prasad, accepted him as his disciple and named him as Varshabhanavi Devi Dasa, the servant of daughter of Rishabhanu, that is Radharani. So that was his initiation name. So we all know how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was extremely, very great spiritual master, never compromised on, in terms of following the principles of Lord Chaitanya and given by Rupa Goswami. That is why he is called Rupanuga Viruddha Apasiddhanta Dvanta Harine. He will never tolerate anything against Rupa Goswami's teachings. Rupa Apasiddhanta. Any Siddhanta which is against Rupa Goswami, Dvanta Harine. He will, vanish all such things. So, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is the spiritual master of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada always remembers his spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and gives all the credit to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He says, "If at all I have done anything, that is only because of blessings of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. My spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, did so much of tapasya so that the Krishna consciousness movement can be established. He took a lot of tapasya. So today, we are all taking the result of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's tapasya. And Prabhupada used to, feel very sorry that he was not able to serve his spiritual master properly. Even though he did so much, but still he used to feel that I'm an incapable servant of my spiritual master. And he remembers how Prabhupada, when he visited Shantipura, Advaita Acharya's place, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya would sit and discuss how to spread Krishna conscious movement. And that was a place where Prabhupada visited before he went to US, before he started his mission, and he visited for the last time, and he was seen there crying. And this Pujari remembers, the Advaita Acharya's temple Pujari, that one sannyasi is crying here. And then he went and approached Maharaj, I see you keep coming to this place many, many times, and I'm so sorry, I look like I came and disturbed you, and what's the matter? Then Prabhupada told him that, you see, actually my glorious spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has given me an impossible mission, that I must go and spread Krishna's message in the Western world. But I am such an incapable servant, such an incapable disciple, I don't know how do I do this. I am totally unqualified. I am not at all eligible to carry on my spiritual master's desire, but my spiritual master has told me, but I don't know how do I do this. I am going. Today I am leaving Bharatvarsha. I am going to a place which I have never seen. I am going to a place where no one is there. But I know that my spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, is always with me. So like this, Srila Prabhupada many, many times confirmed that I am never separated from my spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Prabhupada says, I always associate with my spiritual master in Vani form. So like that, Srila Prabhupada, who always glorified his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, whose appearance day we are observing, who also fought against such wrong understanding of a casteism, which is misinterpreted, mispresented in society today, because of which so many things are happening, and we are so fortunate to be in contact with such devotees in such an institution where everybody is given an opportunity. We are the live example that all of us, all the devotees sitting here, we all are given an opportunity to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna without any discrimination. We are given an opportunity to worship the deities in the temple without any casteism, without any discrimination, simply following the principle given by Lord Krishna in the Vedic literature. It is only because we are all in touch with a pure devotee, that is Srila Prabhupada. So we must take this fortune in our life, continue to be fortunate by following their instructions more and more, specifically chanting Hare Krishna mantra, which is considered, Prabhupada says, chanting Hare Krishna mantra is the first and foremost instruction given by the spiritual master and the most important duty of a disciple. So, we are all disciples of Srila Prabhupada. We must execute the most important instruction, that is chanting this Hare Krishna mantra, especially chanting 16 rounds on daily basis. Then we are not affected by any of the so-called disturbances which are going on in the society. We will be personally protected by Krishna, like he protected Vidura, he protected many such devotees like the Dasui in Jagannath. Like that, there are many, many examples. So simply by chanting Hare Krishna, we'll all become transcendental to all these disturbances and we'll all become happy. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.